Greetings, my friends. I'm going to start with a quote from one of the greatest Americans to ever walk the face of the earth, one Benjamin Franklin. Any society that would give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. He who sacrifices freedom for security deserves neither. How many of you can remember, if you're my age or even within 10, 15 years of my age, you're old enough to remember the days when you could go on a plane. If you couldn't make the plane trip, if you got sick or you were busy, you could just give the ticket to somebody else. They would just give you the money and they could fly in your seat. Remember that? Remember the days when you could just get on a plane and take what you want to take? You could even take samurai swords and weapons on planes. You could take anything you want to take on planes. No problem, no nothing, no limitations. Then 9/11 came along. And I'm going to link up a video that I did, a viral video that I did back in the day that shows you proof that I have found that shows that 9/11 was not what they said it was, that it was actually an inside job. My proof that I have shared has not been refuted. No one has refuted it yet. No one can, because it's true, because it's real. But look what's happened. This goes right along with what Ben Franklin said. We Americans said, oh yeah, we'll give up our liberty. We'll give up our freedom so we can get a little security. And look what happened. Nightmare airlines. Who likes to fly anymore on an airplane? I loathe going on an airplane. It's a nightmare. And if you can't get your ticket, if you can't go, you lose all your money unless you pay tons of extra money ahead of time to buy a ticket that you can't afford or you don't want to be able to use. Then you lose that money. And they have insurance for flights that I've tried to get before, tried to file claims on for my mother-in-law and for myself. Didn't work. I wasted my money on that. It's a big scam. They got you by the throat, my friends, and they've got you. They can do what they want to do. You can't take anything on a plane hardly anymore. It's so ridiculous. There are so many things that have happened all because of 9/11. How many times has anyone even tried to hijack a plane since then? None. Because again, I'm telling you, the whole thing was a big setup. It brings me to today. I'm a disabled veteran. Spent 20 years in the military, mostly with the Marines, numerous frontline combat tours. If you follow my ministries, you know my story. And I'm a disabled veteran. And I've got severe post-traumatic stress disorder. And I go to the VA. I haven't been there recently because I just know with all the coronavirus stuff going on and with the elderly population that goes to the VA, for the most part, people, the average age is like 20, 30 years older than me. I don't want to be anywhere near there because it's going to be a nightmare scenario, in my opinion. People will be bringing the virus in and they'll be grabbing you and making you go into quarantine somewhere if they want to. They can do what they want to do. It's a government, and it's very, very bizarre. But again, people have wanted this. People have wanted to give up their freedom. All around the world, people are giving up freedom. You're seeing churches. I'll get back to the VA in a minute. You're seeing churches overseas that are being confiscated. You can't go to church. People are being made to worship their leaders in their country. You have all kinds of surveillance, all kinds of things where they're giving you scores, social scores that the government has, whether you can buy or sell or do things. And it's all because the world has given up freedom. They've given up their freedom for a little bit of security, give up their liberty for a little security. But back to the VA. I got a friend, a really good friend, who is also a disabled veteran, and he went to the VA clinic yesterday, and this is what he saw. I'm just gonna read to you just some excerpts my brother shared with me. He had to go to the VA hospital. It was in total lockdown. Only one way in, one way out. Normally when I go to the VA, you can go in lots of ways, get out lots of ways, all kinds of things, no problem. Can't do that now. Armed security carrying M4s. That's the picture of the thumbnail today. M4 replaced the M16. It's a combat assault weapon that the U.S. military uses. And you got armed military troops all around the hospital. You got state troopers all around the hospital, local police all around the hospital, wearing flak jackets, wearing body armor, carrying M4s, looking very threatening and very imposing. You got doctors and nurses or whoever else it could be. They're behind masks, so they don't really know. He didn't know for sure, but they're being very aggressive, asking him and everyone else tons of questions and just harassing them. He said he hadn't seen an M4 since his days in the Sinai Peninsula. And there's armored military again everywhere. Armed cops and military all over the Veterans Hospital with all kinds of bulletproof vests and weapons again, as I've said. And now he said he was told no visitors are allowed. Only vets with appointments. And I used to be able to bring my wife anytime. I could, and if it was a VA facility, I could visit her if she was in it. Can't do it anymore. It's in lockdown. And again, people are giving up their freedom and their liberty for a little security. I'm not one of them. I've never believed in that. And see, veterans, disabled veterans, are a very, very interesting group, especially those who have PTSD, which a vast majority of us do. We don't react very well to watching armed troops like we used to be walking around with M4s, and they're in our face and around us, and people with masks on who can't see their face, who are just being aggressive with us, asking us all kinds of invasive questions, and bringing our PTSD level way up, bringing our threat level way up. What's going to happen? See, we're not allowed to even bring weapons into the VA. It's the signs everywhere. Don't bring weapons in. But if veterans feel threatened, I can see veterans bringing weapons into the VA. I can see clashes. I can see people getting shot or being killed because of this nonsensical idea and thing that's going on. It's insane. Trump gave veterans a chance to be able to go out in town and get seen. So if I have to get seen during this whole nightmare coronavirus thing, I'll go out in town and get seen if I have to, but I'm not going to any hospital, any doctor if I don't have to, because that's going to be a breeding ground for any kind of a flu virus and everything else. But it's terrible to put veterans through that. The VA used to be a safe haven for us, a place we could go to feel safe, to feel relaxed, and to feel not stressed out and not troubled. We still feel stressed, and we still feel at ease, but it's much less stressed and much less at ease and much more safe than anywhere else. We're always going to feel at stress and ill at ease, but it was the best we could have. And now they've ramped it way up with all this craziness. Why have all these armed people walking around in VA hospitals and clinics? Why do it? If it's happening at one, you think it's not happening at others either? Because VA is very uniform. What they do in one hospital and clinic, they do in all of them for all intents and purposes. And it's crazy what's going on. It's insane. And like I said, people are fighting in grocery stores, fighting over toilet paper, fighting over loaves of bread, fighting in parking lots. Next thing you know, people are going to be getting shot and killed. People are just going crazy. And again, it shows human nature. Human beings are the worst possible things and people you can possibly have when things go bad. Humans are pathetic. They really are, because they show their true nature. And usually it's selfishness, it's hatred, it's anger, and it's just ill will. I just can't stand, I loathe living on this earth because it's such a wicked, evil place. And America is the pits right now. It's the worst of the worst as far as I'm concerned. Bottom line is this is all a dry run for when the imminent rapture happens, and all hell breaks loose after that for 7+ years on earth, and then all your rights are taken away from you totally. This is getting you used to it, getting you ready, as other events that have happened in the last 10-15 years have slowly gotten you ready. They've got you into your homes, confiscated your weapons, been able to go and tell you can't do this. It's getting harder and harder to buy weapons, harder and harder to get your rights taken care of, because they know that they're not going to come and kick the door in right away. They're going to just weasel their way in a little bit at a time. And by the time they get to the point where the mark of the beast becomes optional first, people are going to flock to it like flies to stink. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to be a hellish nightmare for you, spending forever in hell in the lake of fire for taking that mark. But then, soon after that, it'll be mandatory. But people will be so brainwashed and dumbed down, they'll still go to it like flies on stink, and they'll take that mark, which will lead them right to hell in the lake of fire forever, as I said. Everything happening in front of us is happening right now, my friends. And so few Christians have any discernment. They can't see anything. They have the discernment of a rotting kumquat sitting out in the sun somewhere. They have zero discernment. They have no idea what's going on. It's nothing. They can't see anything happening. They don't read their Bibles. If they do, they have no clue what they're reading because the Holy Spirit's not in them, so that He doesn't guide and direct them. I am just sick to see how the church has become a backslidden, toothless, gutless, spineless, lifeless, lightless, dark-filled, garbage dump, hellhole, Satan-led establishment for the most part, for all intents and purposes, with very few exemptions. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Right now is the time to find Jesus Christ as your only hope. If you've never been saved, you're backslidden. Pray the prayer, do the 6 steps in the box below the video. No one's guaranteed more time in your life. If you like prayer, contact me. I pray for you every day. I love you all so much. And look up, true Christians. Praise the Lord. Our redemption draweth nigh. We fly soon. May God bless you. Share this video. Get the word out. And wake up, my friends. They're trying to take all your rights away. Soon they'll all be gone. Share.